You have to stay with me. You have to watch all of this, because I was sleeping the other day and I awoke and I saw this and I thought, oh my goodness, that adds another layer to some of the prophetic hints and possibilities that we have been sharing with so many people on our YouTube channel. Now, before we get started, let me just mention this, that I appreciate those of you who have subscribed to our channel. We're trying to get up to 1 million subscribers. So could you help me do that? If you enjoy the teaching that we present to you, that would be such a help. And also remember this, give it that thumbs up. All you have to do is click that thumbs up, and that helps more people to be able to have the opportunity to see our teaching. Now, if you look at the thumbnail on this, it will say Harris, and in parentheses, it will say on. So it looks like I'm saying Harris on. There's no gap there. It's in parentheses. Is history about to repeat itself? Now pay careful attention, because I'm going to rehash something that I have taught in the past, but a lot of you have not heard this. And if you've not heard it, the media is beginning to pick up on this just a little bit. And it's really funny, because I don't know that the media per se watches our YouTube channels, but I have had people in the media to repeat things that we had taught, that we knew, that we had done that particular research on. So this is one of those interesting things. I'm going to go through and read some of this to get it exactly correct, because I'm dyslexic with numbers. So if I start talking about numbers, instead of saying 46, I might say 64, and that messes up the entire teaching. The Trump parallels, okay? Now, the presidents of the United States, there have been 46 presidents, 45 different men out of 46 presidents. Now, there are 21 presidents who have served 2 terms. So out of 46 presidents, 2 of them served 8 years instead of 4 years. Okay, so Roosevelt was the one president who actually served 3 terms. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he died somewhere in the 4th term. And that's where they changed the rules that a president could only be in power for 8 years. That's when that rule changed, was after the death of President Roosevelt. Now, here's the important part. One president has served, which lost the election, okay? 4 years passes and he runs again. This is what Trump is doing. And he ends up being reelected with that 4 years gap of someone else being the president. All right? The man who was reelected was Grover Cleveland. Grover Cleveland was elected the 22nd president. He lost, but was reelected 4 years later as the 24th president of the United States. He was elected on March the 4th, 1885 through 1889, and he lost reelection on March the 4th, 1893. He was reelected again March 4th, 1897. And I'm assuming those numbers are right. Now, again, if I ever do number research and I'm off a year or so, please understand I'm dyslexic with numbers, so I have to double check everything. But this is an historical fact. So here's a president. He's in for 4 years. He loses to a particular person. He then comes back and is reelected the next year. Now, here's the part of the man who lost for 4 years and came back for a second term 4 years later. Now, once again, this is similar to what President Trump is attempting to do. He was president 4 years, lost the election for 4 years, and is trying to be reelected president. So only one other man has done this in history. So here's the weird history, and it's not really weird, but these are the patterns. If you watch us, if you watch anything we teach, we're into Hebrew word studies, the Hebrew alphabet, Hebraic roots of the Christian faith, and we're into cycles and patterns like crazy. That is a gift that the Lord gave me, to be able to research and discover these patterns that in history repeat themselves. Now, check this out. History of Grover Cleveland. His father was a Presbyterian minister, and so was he. He was raised in New York. He was known for his focus on getting tasks done. If he said he was going to do it, he did it. He married a young wife who was 21 years older than him. Okay? He did not like government giving out money. He wanted people to work. He vetoed spending bills and thought most of them were fraudulent. He won the popular vote but lost the electoral college. And he lost to someone, listen to this, he lost to someone named Benjamin Harrison. It's going to get interesting, so stay with me. During the 4 years that Cleveland was out and Harrison was in, Now, this is in history. The nation entered into a depression. There were foreclosures, unemployment. There was deals being made with the Treasury to try to underwrite the government's problems that they were in. He dealt with the silver and gold reserves. We hear a lot of talk about the high price of silver and gold now. And he also printed a lot of money for the first time. In other words, this is the first time that they're really starting to use printing presses to get for currency. And this is the person that took power from Cleveland, Benjamin Harrison. So basically, during those 4 years, it did not go economically what people expected. So because of the economy and the condition of economic situations, they voted in again Grover Cleveland for 4 years. Now, how does that parallel Trump? Now, watch this. These are the parallels between Cleveland and Trump. Trump is also a Presbyterian like Cleveland. Trump came from New York like Cleveland. He is very focused on getting things done the way Cleveland was. His wife is 24 years older than him. You know, I think Cleveland's was 27 years difference, and I believe I've got those numbers right. Again, bear with me on these numbers. But I do know Cleveland married a much younger woman, so did Trump. He wanted people to work, Trump does, and not just throw money at people. He wants to give them the opportunity to have jobs. He turned down some spending bills, and both of them, and this is not a big deal. I mean, millions of people could say this, but they both have 6 letters in their first name. Now, Biden, Joseph Biden, President Biden was supposed to run against President Trump, and we all know what happened there. The reason they did a debate in June, there is nobody who does debates in June that far away from an election. All debates are in September, sometimes October, but there's usually 2 to 3 debates in the fall. So why did they want to put Joe Biden in a debate with Trump? Because they knew that cognitively, people would see, oh my goodness, we have a problem here. And it would be easier for Harris to be placed in once the American people and the Democratic leaders really began to saw that he probably wasn't going to be able. And I say this with respect because as we all get older, we all have cognitive issues, at least I do. So this is not a personal attack, but it's just a fact, as most of you know, that cognitively there was some decline. And this is how she was able to get put in. Now, she is Kamala Harris. Everybody say that with me. Kamala Harris. Harris, okay? So Biden, here's the deal. You had Biden who was supposed to run. He represented the Benjamin Harrison that took the place of Grover Cleveland for 4 years. Are there any parallels? Now, here's the parallels under what we would call the Biden-Harris administration. Harrison, during his time, the federal budget exploded. He was the first president to exceed the budget over $1 billion. Don't we wish we had those days? Harrison added six different states, and there was talk about under Biden's administration adding Puerto Rico and some other islands to add to their votes, to et cetera, and add to the Senate and House from those areas. Harrison did the Sherman Antitrust Act that prevented monopolies from buying companies. Harrison, and this would represent Joe Biden, is what I'm saying, if we look at the parallels of 4 years. Harrison was called the human iceberg because he had a stiff personality. I've never heard anybody called a human iceberg. Harrison fought a law that would hinder China's trade, okay? So you got these little nuances or hints of how Benjamin Harrison ran the country during those 4 years, but it did not go well at all from an economic standpoint. Here's the part that's interesting. Normally, this would be a Trump-Biden match, but now we have the Trump-Harris match. Trump-Harris match. All right, she gets put in in July, and she's now the candidate to run on the Democratic ticket. So he's now this man who has the parallel of Grover Cleveland. Benjamin Harrison rules for 4 years. The economy goes bad. Then Cleveland gets reelected. Are we in a prophetic cycle? Now, I don't like to answer this because people will come to me and they'll say, what do you think? What do you think? I'm like a reporter in that I'm going to give you facts or information, and we have to look at it. And a lot of this is just saying, we will see what happens. But if it happens where Trump does get reelected, you have this crazy pattern. But the first man to do this had to run against a man named Harrison, and her name is Harris. Now, I don't know about you. I just think that's really, really interesting. So let me go back and say this. If we look at historical patterns only and how a pattern can repeat itself, if we only go by patterns, now we're not going here by polls, we're not going by votes, because all of this will determine on who shows up to vote and if the election is handled properly, if you can read between the lines, as to who the actual winner will be. So no one knows because the polls are all over the place. If, though, Trump is reelected, he has the only pattern of one other president who ran against Harrison, and he will have run against Harris to defeat her if he should win. Now, if it goes the other way, obviously that particular historic pattern did not repeat itself. But I want you to remember a verse I've used for years if you followed my teaching, and it's Ecclesiastes 1, 9, and 10. The thing which has been is that which shall be, and that which has been done is that which shall be done, and there's nothing new under the sun. That's why I go to the Old Testament stories, and I find these patterns that can actually repeat themselves. So I thought you would, a lot of people haven't put that together about the names and the 4 years of the economy going, having problems, and this one president, one man being reelected 4 years later. Will history repeat itself? And the answer is, we will know shortly if it will or if it does not. If it does, it's pretty amazing pattern. So you do have, if you have not seen my video on the prophecy to President Trump about the return of the Trump stump from Daniel 4, it's a real word, it's very interesting. Please watch that and it'll make more sense what I'm saying to you of tying this together. So again, because America is a nation that votes, the votes are who puts one of these two people in, and you can't always judge it by a pattern, but if the pattern is prophetic, here's the real key, if the pattern is prophetic, then the pattern usually fulfills itself during the cycle. So I've got to get this out to you, and I'm going to ask my guys to get this one out just as soon as they can, as soon as they can. And I want people to be able to watch this and kind of look at this and kind of judge this. Now, we always cut off our remarks on our YouTube channel, and we do that because there's so many just hateful people and saying terrible things. And we said, you know what, we don't have time to clean these people up and ban them or whatever. So we don't have any remarks, but we do appreciate a thumbs up if you enjoy our teaching. That's a great blessing and a help to us. All right, subscribe to our channel, and we hope to see you in some of our meetings, regional meetings, and meet you and be a part. Hope you can someday be a part of our live teachings on location. It's much more interesting and powerful than just watching the television program. I can assure you of that. Thank you again for your time, and thank you for your prayers for our ministry. Keep watching. We always have something very special and very unique that we make available to all of you who watch. Please give me your undivided attention. Many months ago, I began to hear secular economists announce a new global reset was coming. That's when I heard this phrase in my spirit, the American apocalyptic reset. For several weeks, I woke up early and began receiving a series of stunning prophetic downloads that I penned and now have placed them all in my brand new prophetic book, America's Apocalyptic Reset. This book is a must-read for all Christians, for all of those who love Bible prophecy, for conservative Americans and American patriots. The 19 chapters go extremely deep into exposing the agenda now being secretly plotted and to be publicly forced upon us, the American people, and how we can counter it. I discovered some very stunning ancient prophetic parallels and patterns, some that go back 4,000 years, that are repeating themselves in the United States right now. I deal with America's great Babel reset and the planned persecution of Christians, America's self-curse that will eventually bring judgment upon the nation, the coming Jezebel clash, the woman who will be president, how she should react and wisely resist corrupt governments. I reveal the unique Silicon Valley parallels and also go into the plans to bankrupt, then reset America economically. Also, I talk about how to function when the church must go underground. I received a very unique revelation concerning President Trump and a pattern that's found in history. There's a chapter also that I deal with how did the prophets get it wrong, and so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, this is probably the most significant prophetic book in the history of my ministry, especially in the time that we're in. But that's not all. I'm also including my most recent inside information prophetic briefing on 2 audio CDs. It's 2 hours in length, and I will release detailed information that I cannot, and I want you to hear me, I cannot nor will I share this on social media or on television, as absolutely in the climate that we're now in, a lot of this information would be targeted for being blocked and banned if it was made public and not done in this private setting that we're doing it in. These 2 hours contain biblical, political, national, and international revelation and information that I am sure that many of you have not been aware of. It is for truth lovers only. I want you to order right now this prophetic resource package, my brand new book, The Apocalyptic Reset, and the 2-hour prophetic CDs by going online at perrystone.org or calling 1-888-21-BREAD, or write me at Perry Stone, P.O. Box 3595, Cleveland, Tennessee 37320. Now, we're making this available for your donation of $35 or more, and you can request the offer APR-140. That's APR-140. I'm going to unmask the radical globalists and individuals who have set out to oppose and silence Christians, silence patriots, and shut the mouth of conservatives, and we will show you in the book what we can do when we unite together. We are looking forward to getting this into your hands.
If you enjoyed this YouTube content, there's an important website you should know about: perrystone.org. Perrystone.org is an essential resource for the latest books, audiovisual presentations, and digital products from Perry Stone Ministries, resources that cover the same kinds of topics discussed in the program you just watched. Stop in and see all that's available at perrystone.org.